Hello and welcome again to our live principals events. So these are our events that we run quarterly as part of MBH, and it's your opportunity to learn a little bit more about the companies in the group and also the people behind those companies and what we're all up to at the moment and some of the great stuff that's going on across the group. So my name's Vikki Sylvester. I am the CEO of Acacia Training and also the principals representative on the board of MBH. And this time our event is going to focus on growth and collaboration as we're coming out of the back of last year, moving into this year, how the companies are working together and what type of activities are going on. Since we had our last event, we have had a fabulous new company join us. So a huge welcome to Intercity Taxis. And Mike is here today from Intercity to tell us more about Intercity and some of their plans in the group. And Mike's company has joined the transport vertical. So I'll shortly invite him. You'll be able to meet him and hear lots about what's going on over there. This will then be followed by a question and answer session later on, where you have the opportunity to post any questions you want to, post them in the comments box, and we will aim to answer those questions towards the end of the session. If we can't answer them all, then we will reach out to you afterwards and make sure your questions get answered. So our panel for today, we have a huge selection of companies here today. So we have Diane Woodhall from Logistica. We have Paul Seabridge from Robinson's Caravans, Scott Linden from DuBoulay Contracts, David Hunter from ADT and the Take Me Group, Aaron King from Cobul Construction, Vikki Smith from Samuel Hobson House, Gary Smith from GS Contracts, not related, and Kieran Smythe from KS Training. So a huge welcome to all of those, and of course a huge welcome to our newest member, Mike. So I'm going to first of all bring Mike up onto the screen so we can all say hello to him and offer him so a huge welcome to MBH. Mike, how are you?
Thanks, Vicky. I'm great, thank you. Thanks to everybody. Thanks for the invite.
Oh no, you're more than welcome. So great to have you here. So excited about everything that's happening actually across the group, but in particular the transport vertical is really going with full steam.
Yes.
So tell us more about Intercity, Mike. What does it do, and what's your business history?
Yeah, well, we're a local-based taxi company based in Stoke-on-Trent. And like many taxi companies, it's been a family-run business for many a year. It was founded by the late Ronald Beardmore in 1969. He started, like most of us did, driving a taxi himself. He had a few other vehicles which he leased out, and that's how he started the business off. You've got two sons, Mark and Malcolm. They both entered the business as drivers as well themselves initially, and they were handed over the reins about 35 years ago. And they started to develop the business together with new blood, new investment, and they grew the business organically. And I think one of the things they did, they embraced any new technology coming into the industry, which gave them, every time they embraced a new system or anything new that was coming out onto the system, that they took it on, which gave them, I think, a sort of a heads up over the other companies, the competition in Stoke, because they were quite happy to sort of sit back and do the old traditional way. So that gave them sort of a head start. And that sort of left them, they became sort of the forerunners of the industry in our small city, and they became sort of the leaders. The other companies tended to follow what Intercity did. And they grew their own fleet. They grew quite rapidly, and they got mixture of owner drivers, leased vehicles, MPVs, wheelchair accessible, a mixture of their own cars. And with a lot of hard work, they became a well-respected name in Stoke for transport. And they built a really good loyal customer base, business customers, account customers, school transport. They had a separate airport division which did holiday makers and business transfers as well. Myself, not entered the business. I became a taxi driver with Intercity. That's why I first initially got in contact with them. And did that for many a year. And I actually entered the business as an employer in 2000 and as an employee in 2009. My interview was a bit surreal. It wasn't like any normal interview. It was basically, do you want to come work in the office? And I said, sort of, doing what? They said, well, we don't really know yet. Well, we just think if you come into the office, let's just see how it progresses. And that's what it is. Then over the years, my role increased with Intercity. and I became sort of an integral part of the management team. And we grew the business year on year. And we increased the driver levels to 230, which is the most we ever had. Business was going really well. We experienced growth in all areas, all departments of the business. And then COVID hit. So everything stopped. We were doing really well, and just everything stopped, like most other businesses. And so it made us sort of look at our business model again, how we could streamline and how we could keep going through the pandemic. And no one knew how long it was going to last. So it was a matter of, firefighting on a daily basis, really. So we were down, but we weren't out. And thankfully, we did survive COVID, and we're still here and getting back to some sort of normality. Obviously, the industry across the board has lost a lot of drivers, which is a big problem. We're trying to get them back. And it's slow progress getting them back, but we are seeing the decent trickle coming back now. So we are getting back to some sort of normality. So our focus now will be for the foreseeable future, I would think, is recruitment, getting drivers back in. Because obviously we're getting bookings are sort of back to pre-COVID levels, but drivers aren't, which creates an obvious problem. But we are still here, and we're very, very excited about the new chapter.
Yeah, I think many of the companies across the group, from talking to them, recruitment, that reopening, I think everybody's facing those similar challenges at the moment.
Exactly.
But it's a challenge everybody's, wanting to face. There are people looking for work, and it's definitely getting there. So are you settling into the group okay? How's it been? I know it's only been a few weeks, but how has it been when you first joined? What's it like for you? Well,
initially it's a bit mind-blowing, because like a little family company like ourselves, they're becoming a part of a bigger network was all like, it's a bit surreal. But we've had plenty of support from everybody. We're still getting plenty of support from everybody, plenty of guidance. So I do feel the transition's gone quite well.
Oh, that's brilliant. And being a Stoke-on-Trent girl myself, I know what a great reputation Intercity's got. So I can absolutely
brilliant.
Say, I've been in a few Intercity taxis, Mike, over the years, but we'll talk about that another day. I'm going to bring in David, and obviously for investors, we've met David before on quite a few occasions, but obviously this whole collaboration piece and being part of MBH, what's your vision? How are you planning to grow this taxi vertical, which obviously you're clearly doing very successfully?
Yeah, thanks, Vicky, and thanks, Mike. A great intro there, Mike. I thought great professional there. I just feel a bit naked without my Take Me T-shirt on this morning because I'm working from home, but I've got my.
He's got his mug.
Companies like Mike's. I mean, Mike's is a fantastic company, as you've just hit the nail on the head, Vicky. Great reputation locally. They're a joy to work with. We're growing the vertical, as you know, the last 12 months at quite a speed. There is a niche in the market. We've had the onslaught of the American apps, Uber, and then the Eastern European one, Bolt, the Indian one, Ola, come in and take market share from us. One of their USPs is the fact that they've created a national brand. So if you're getting off a train in Leicester, Stoke, Banbury, Oxford, or any major town or city in the UK, then you're not always going to know that ADT in Leicester is the local taxi operator, or indeed Intercity in Stoke. So they've got the advantage of having a national brand. We've got the advantage being SMEs, where we've always had to make money and profit to survive. Whereas the Uber, I don't think have made any money, losing billions a year. Whereas we have to make money to survive. And how we've done that is by offering, quality of service. We're local people. We know the local drivers, the local customers. So this is our USP. So if we can bolt that together with a brand, a national brand across the UK, then obviously we've got the best of both worlds. We equally match their technology now, and we've got the USP that we still answer those phones. We can still deal with Mrs. Miggins going to the hairdressers who possibly wouldn't use an app. Somebody's lost some lost property. We can instantly deal with that. You don't have to send an email off to San Francisco and wait 72 hours for return. It's the quality of the service. So we can match the technology all that's missing is a national brand. And actually working together, we're sharing talent, and there's talent in every business. Mike would have experienced this from our accounts team or from a guy doing the marketing. You know, we've got a lot of talent within the industry and within our vertical. So, you know, and with cloud-based technology, we can utilize that. You don't have to be sitting in Stoke to be doing Mike's social media, or likewise doing mine here in Leicestershire. So, you know, the technology is so easy to bolt us together. So phase one is adding companies like Mike's and welcoming them to MBH, or indeed on the wider Take Me network. Phase two will be bringing in the branding and sort of going more uniform with the technology.
Yeah, and you know, the taxi companies, they've been around a long time, haven't they? Everybody knows their local taxi company, you know, as they've grown up around you. And, you know, it's amazing to see just how adaptable taxi companies have been over the past few years as well, trying to get in line with the modern technology and all the different apps and things like that. So what kind of things are you guys working on collaboratively? What kind of things have you been doing so far? What kind of things do you plan to do?
Okay, Mike, do you want to take that one?
Well, for us, during the Take Me group, like David's hit on, like the experience and the teams that are available to us, which is at this moment in these hard times, having a recruitment team, an accounts team, a sales team, brilliant social media management, all at your fingertips. And this is stuff that we've all done, but we were guilty of not doing it very well because things were going very nicely. Now things, you know, now we have got to step up to the plate and get the business back to where they were. You know, being part of the Take Me group and having that there is instrumental, really. And what we want to do is get support from the Take Me group to get us back to where we were pre-COVID, which is what we've got to focus on, getting that, and then obviously support us with our growth. And also we want to give back by being a good part of the Take Me group, and we really like their vision, you know, and we really want to be an instrumental part in their vision, you know, and getting it right. And if we can help other people, the new companies coming on, we want to help do that with as well. So really, for us at this moment in time, with what's you know, where we were, what we've gone through, and where we are now, I mean, we do feel we are exactly in the right place at the right time, and we're glad that we're here.
Yeah, brilliant. And David, how's MBH been useful in your goal to build, you know, it's not just the Take Me brand, but the transport vertical?
It's been very useful. We get a lot of support, a lot of training. You know, we've upped our game in terms of issues concerning the environment under your tuition, Vicky. Even yesterday, 2 members of our accounts team over at our Loughborough office were speaking to a training guy. So we're investing in training in our team. And actually, although we're in taxis, running a small business, we still have the same problems, such as recruitment, that guys in the building industry have. So it's learning from each other and all the other principals. You know, we all have common problems, and being part of a larger network, as Mike says, takes a lot of a lot of weight off our shoulders, because we know there's somebody we can talk to. We don't have to do it on our own. We're in it together.
Yeah, and Mike, just coming back to you briefly, I know you've only been in the group in a short time, but you know, what are you really wanting to achieve? You know, what's your top few goals that you'd like to achieve now that you're part of the group?
Well, like I said, initially get back to where we were, because before COVID hit, we were doing really well. We were experiencing natural growth throughout our business, and everything was going really nicely. You know, bookings, driver levels, account customers coming on board. And we really just want to focus on getting back to that point. Brilliant.
Thank you both to both of you. I'm just going to bring in Gary. So Gary is from GS Contracts. Unfortunately, Ian can't be with us today, so it was going to be Gary and Ian, but GS and Gaysha have had a collaborative partnership. You've similar to the taxi companies, started to work together on different projects. So tell us a little bit about your journey so far, Gary, and the kind of things you've been doing with Gaysha, why you joined, why you work together.
Hi to everybody. Thanks very much, Vicky. Literally next week we'll be celebrating our first year of with MBH and the acquisition. Prior to that, Gaysha, obviously Ian and took an interest and we became known to them in September of the year before, about 8 months beforehand, and they were looking for acquisition for a manufacturing of an interior company. So as a bolt-on and somebody that could offer areas to their sector to complete the whole process. It was, and at that stage, I was looking at GS contracts, to how I'd keep the company going and want to see it carry on. And we were talking to different managers and senior people here, and getting a letter through the post one day at home. It was you couldn't believe it was real, really. And then to actually meet them and find out you can meet people that are so like-minded that you just naturally, it's like we've been together forever. And that's the beauty of of good collaborations. You almost as one and have been. So that's allowed us now to look to the future as GS Contracts, developing what we're doing. We've worked on with Gaysha now. They've brought a lot of processes and systems and development within GS that's allowed us to go forward in a much more collaborative and organised manner, to achieve an end result, as opposed to in the past, getting there a bit more by chance, shall we say. So we've shared. I've carried on getting opportunities and leads, and likewise the same. And then we've talked about the projects collectively, and then they've either been put through Gaysha or put through us. But then we've split up who's doing what part of that process, and then on certain occasions, because of their obviously typically Gaysha's projects are much larger than ours and a longer duration. So we've benefited on some of the larger projects, the use of Chloe and Anna and other people to provide the tactical support and process throughout that whole journey. And then we've done what we do, well, which is deliver the interior site. So it's been great to share, to cross staff between both companies. I think the staff have enjoyed it as well, because it's a different challenge and a different interest. So we've done high-end interiors together, restaurants, a whole cross section of opportunities. But we try, obviously. For me at the moment, I think, and Ian, I would say, we're both really focused on getting the companies back on track, to achieve the numbers we were doing, pre-COVID. That's our focus at the moment. It's really about putting those. You've touched on it earlier, and so did Mike and David, with staff. That's the biggest issue at the moment. It's the opportunities are there, and I think they highlighted that with the taxis. Yeah, people ring up for a taxi, but you haven't got a driver, and that's listening to the news today, that's quite common throughout everything, really. And that's going to obviously take a little while to settle down. So the biggest challenge is really delivering the service that you've previously done. And that's because clients still expect it. They don't want anything less than they used to get, whether it's existing clients or new ones.
And whilst on your clients, what kind of benefits has there been for your customers now that you guys have joined together?
Greater, much more operational organisation with clients, being able to support clients at high levels, particularly. We've had projects with listed building issues and planning applications, which obviously Gaysha are much more familiar with than us, being primarily an interior company.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the times, and it's allowed us to take on more sort of design and build projects from the outset, encompassing everything. It's the old saying, the one-stop shop. I think that's quite common in society these days. Everybody's looking for somebody to provide everything for you, aren't they? We all like that, and as opposed to have to join all the dots together yourself. So that's a big strength, definitely. And Mark, on the finance side, it's there's a we all within the company, there's obviously the structures within the sectors, and it allows us to individually focus on the different aspects. Obviously my focus is on clients and new opportunities and work going forward, but because of the structure and how it's processed, I don't have to worry so much with dipping in and out of other things and taking my focus off that. The business in the past, we'd go feast and famine, because we'd get loads of work and then it'd be all hands on deck, and then you realise, hang on a minute, we haven't got any more work. Well, because you weren't looking for it. So
right, so it's provided more consistency because you've got more resources across the team to go and do that. Yeah, that's really interesting. I mean, I'm sat here today in a GS and Gaysha collaboration, because you did Acacia's offices, of course, and you guys did all the joinery, built that down in London, got that all up here, and Gaysha were involved in the design. So it was fascinating to actually experience how you all work together, and a bit of feedback for you. It was really smooth from my perspective as the customer. It was great. So it's really interesting how you guys can pull that together to add that value, I suppose, to your customers and keep that moving.
Yes, that's the key thing. It's trying to make that transition smooth. Certainly on interiors, most of my jobs, I usually know an end date before I know a start date. Because customers opening places to the public have a whole array of taking on staff themselves to advertising. Once they hit that button, that's it. You have to achieve that date.
And GS were Gaysha's first tactical acquisition. What are your future plans together? Are you planning to bring more companies in, or are you planning to do more between the two of you to continue to build on what you've already done?
I think because of the synergies and how well it's worked together, we don't, over the process of the time, we've stopped, and staff as well, we've stopped talking about sort of them and us. It's just now us. So we think more as one, although we operate quite independently. So and we support each other in the way and the way we speak and work within. It's not a them and us situation. So I know Ian's keen to continue that and to strengthen that, and GS want to and have done over the year get involved in larger projects that are a greater duration. Yeah.
Right.
One of the obviously one of our processes in the past was what I call QSR, or quick service restaurants. High streets like Pret, etc. That almost take away, obviously, which have clearly struggled. But those type of projects literally last anywhere between 4 and 6 weeks. So when you've got several of those on, it's very demanding, as opposed to having a project that lasts you 20 weeks, 40 weeks, etc., etc. So they're much more intense, doing a lot of smaller projects. So we've been lucky in being able to cope with larger projects, and also to the client. That's the other thing that the collaboration has given us, is the perception externally is one of a greater, and the MBH link as well, I'd have to say, gives you much more credibility. You know, when clients are looking at you, they feel more comfortable. You know, they don't feel as though you're going to, you know, disappear tomorrow. So that's worked well in that respect.
Brilliant. So I'm going to bring Scott in now. So Scott's from DuBoulay, and staying with construction. Construction is one of our biggest verticals at the moment. So welcome to Scott. And I'm also going to bring in Aaron, and Aaron is from Cobul Construction, based over in Australia. So great to see you both. Hope you're both doing well. Vicky. Scott, I'm going to go to you first. Thinking about growth and collaboration, obviously the construction industry was hit quite hard last year by COVID, and this year, it's the end of December 2020. But what are things like for you guys over at DuBoulay at the moment? What kind of things are you doing, and how's it looking, and how's the future looking?
Yeah, Vicky, the industry was in turmoil, and in particular the hospitality, food and beverage sectors. These sectors were booming before COVID, early last year. And then when COVID hit, obviously it just fell off the edge of the cliff. This definitely put enormous pressure on every of us, all of us, to change tact, to identify avenues of the business to keep it afloat, really. But, you know, unfortunately, we had to let a number of staff go during the pandemic, and turnover was reduced substantially. However, where we are now is in a fantastic position. We've come through with force, and we're exceeding our early 2021 budget forecast, which is actually in excess of our pre-COVID levels, which is fantastic. We've increased our workforce by 30%, and we're looking for new recruits now to satisfy the amount of demand of work that we're currently having now and in our pipeline. And what COVID has allowed us to do is to enter other sectors that we've not explored. So currently we have projects within the hotel, restaurant, retail, and restaurant sectors. So we're looking forward to the future.
Wow, that sounds absolutely incredible. You know, and you know what I think was amazing last year is just, you know, every company just went into it with a can-do attitude. You know, we're going to get through this. And we will get there. And then, you know, you're coming out the other side. It sounds much stronger, actually, than perhaps you were before. So that's really good to hear. And with you being based in London, and obviously we've got GS and Gaysha and Guild Prime all based in London. Do you all come together? Do you look at collaborating on projects?
Yeah, what we started doing during the sort of lockdowns is we'd have fortnightly coffee meetings on Zoom. And we're now looking to meet face to face so we can have, you know, decent conversations like we did pre-COVID. And what we typically do is we discuss the industry and the difficulties that we're each experiencing, and if others have either experienced it or have been through it, and how they can offer advice to the companies. So it's great to have that sort of collaborative approach. We also discuss things like supply items. As everybody knows, materials at the moment is crucial because of the lack of or the increased demand and lack of supply. And we also look at what works well with each other within the industry. We've also explored, as Gary mentioned, the potential of sharing resources and pooling the businesses together to go for bigger tenders.
Right.
That's all obviously work in progress at the moment, but you know, having like-minded CEOs in the group is fantastic to tap into. So yeah, it's great to have a group of guys that you know, can share experiences and pitfalls and the industry issues that are currently sitting before us, and how we get over it.
Yeah, it sounds like some teamwork and some great opportunities to come for you guys then over the next few years. Brilliant. And Aaron, a huge welcome to Aaron over in Australia. It's great to have you here. And this is hopefully a decent time for you to be joining us in the UK. So over in Australia, you know, what are things like for you over there? What's happening with Cobul? What are your future plans? Has it been different to the UK? You know, have you had different things to face? Be great to hear from your perspective.
Yeah, great question. I think Cobul's located in Canberra, so Canberra is the capital city of Australia. So, I mean, in Canberra, a lot of the employments, the majority of the population in Canberra is employed by the government. Majority of the infrastructure projects are, government funded. So there's a lot of funding and a lot of infrastructure that's going on in and around Canberra. So for us at Cobul, I mean, a lot of our clients are also government clients as well. So, major government clients as well as some of the local councils at the same time. So we're in a really good position. So even considering through COVID, we weren't really too affected. Things slowed down a little bit because of some slight restrictions and things like that. And, in terms of getting materials in and out, I mean, at the moment, we're seeing a bit of a strain on the supply chain, but it's not affecting us too much. And in terms of our pipeline of work, I mean, we're in a really good position to deliver that work and to, deliver on our budget at the same time. So it's a pretty exciting time for Cobul at the moment. And, we've got a decent pipeline of work coming in. So right now we're in a position to go out and actually start bringing in some more project managers, start recruiting and start getting in some graduates as well, who we can start to raise up within the business and really start to grow the business a lot more. Sorry, continue to grow the business a lot more.
Well, that sounds great, and great to hear you bring graduates in. Being in education, I'm always advocating bringing new people in. So that's fabulous. And do you get to share knowledge or collaborate with the UK companies, or are you looking to maybe expand more companies in Australia that kind of fit with what you're doing? What's your plans?
Being in a land far, far away from the rest of the world, it's a bit hard to collaborate with the other construction companies in MBH on a material level. But in terms of, the community, the mentorship and some of the guidance that some of these other really experienced guys have, it's great for, the guys in our team when we choose to collaborate. And, as Cobul, we're certainly looking for more acquisitions that we can make in and around Canberra and also outside of Canberra to really expand our market share at the same time. And, our strategy is similar to what Scott said. We want to acquire some more businesses. So as a group of companies within Australia, we can tender for larger projects and really work, unanimously to deliver on those results.
Yeah, and would you have a similar kind of thing with Gaysha and GS as well, thinking about that customer offer? Will it hopefully, make bigger projects or sharing of resource possible if you could get more companies joining you?
Yeah, definitely. That's what we'd look at doing. So that's, creating that, I guess that broader service offering is what we could deliver to our clients. So that's what we'll look at building within Cobul and some of the businesses we want to acquire for sure.
Yeah, I think it's one of the great things about MBH. We've done it in the education vertical as well. And I've said it before, but I will say it again, collaboration just should always be easy. True collaboration should be really easy, offering lots of value to one another without it being forced. And when it does work, it really, really works fantastically well. So yeah, that's great to hear, and great to hear that things in Australia are going well and that Cobul has got some exciting plans. So sounds great. So thank you for that. And I'm hopeful that you'll start to, like the UK companies. I mean, it started with the UK. Our construction companies came in there first, and I think over time what we've seen is we build a region, and then as a new vertical or a new country comes in, we then start to see more companies being attracted to those countries or verticals. So I'm pretty sure over the next 12 months it'd be really interesting to see what happens over at Cobul. So thank you for that, both. That's been great to speak to you both. So I'm going to bring in now some of the other principals. I'm going to bring in Diane and Paul, who work quite closely together. And I'm going to bring in as well Kieran, and I'm also going to bring in Vicky. So we've got quite a collection of us on the screen at the moment, but hopefully everybody can see everybody there. So welcome to you all, and great to have you here today. And hopefully I can contribute a little bit to this conversation, because Acacia has worked on some projects, I think, with all of you. Somebody's a little bit noisy in the background. I'm not sure who it is, but we'll figure it out in a minute. So Paul, I want to move to you first of all. How are things over at Robinson's? How's it going? What kind of things are you doing, and what future plans can you share?
Yeah, sure. So things at Robinsons are going absolutely brilliantly. I guess as a UK-based organisation, with COVID and all the travel restrictions, it's probably driven a much bigger demand for the whole sort of staycation. I mean, we're seeing certainly a younger demographic in terms of our sort of customer base. So our future plans really are sort of geared up, I guess, to take advantage of those opportunities. So I think first and foremost, we're very keen to look at acquisitions. We joined MBH as the platform, if you like, to make that happen. I guess the pandemic sort of put a bit of a hold on that, but we're certainly in discussions now with quite a number of sort of different operators, and the idea is to build out a bit of a group within the leisure sector so that we can sort of use that collaboration that I think MBH sort of stands for, so that we can sort of consolidate some of the industry. One of the other initiatives that we've recently sort of invested in, which is something that we're quite keen to continue to build upon, is that we set up a new venture, caravansforcash.co.uk, which is basically a website that is marketed to consumers, that if they have a caravan, that rather than trying to sell it themselves on things like eBay, for example, they can come to us and we'll buy it from them for cash, and we'll do that very, very quickly. And that's helped us cope with maybe the challenge of sort of stock. So I guess with the lockdowns, manufacturers have not been producing as many new caravans as pre-COVID. And we've certainly seen more of a trend to sell more in the sort of used caravan space, and certainly that website has helped. So trying to develop that a little bit further. And, I think that sort of underpins a lot of what MBH stands for. Is, we're a bunch of business owners that are entrepreneurs, and, that sort of entrepreneurialism really throughout MBH is, I guess, infectious and sort of encourages these new initiatives and new ideas. And I guess outside of sort of Robinsons, we also work with many of the other businesses in the group. So, Acacia and Logistica have sort of supported us with some of the training and development of our staff. And Robinsons and the finance team at Robinsons is providing financial M&A expertise to other businesses in the group. We work very closely with David and the Take Me Group, for example, 3K Engineering. I work with Aaron at Cobul as well. So yeah, all good.
Yeah, I know that you're a very active principal across the group. I think every time I ring you up, you're at somebody else's offices or on the phone to somebody else within the group, finding out what next adventure we can go on. And what I absolutely love, I know you talked about with us about the manufacturers not manufacturing, the movement to use caravans and how you've set that up is just a perfect example, I think, of how people in MBH adapt, how the entrepreneurs adapt and think, well, I'll come up with something else then. So it's absolutely brilliant to see. And I know you've been working really closely with Diane, and I'm going to move over to Diane. So Diane's from Logistica, and first of all, how's things over at Logistica? It's been a while since we've seen you.
I know, sorry, I've been really, really busy. Yeah, my name's Diane, and I'm the MD at Logistica Training. We are a South Yorkshire-based company in the UK, but we deliver to 12 different geographical areas nationally. We are very busy this month because it's the end of our contractual year, and even though we've had a busy, problematic year, again, like many principals I spoke today, we've adapted as a company. We've had that can-do attitude, and we're smashing as numbers, we're smashing as targets, and keeping our contractual primes really happy. So yeah, we're currently bidding for contracts for next year, but we want to finish the job this year and make sure we get really good achievement rates. So yeah, and I'm celebrating as well, like the other principal, our first birthday at MBH. So the acquisition went through right in the middle of COVID, but yeah, July this month we've been a year with MBH.
Wow! And now you've mentioned that, I'm going to ask you, what's it been like? What's that year been in MBH been like, or what do you think it would have been like if you weren't in MBH? Maybe I could reverse the question and ask it a slightly different way.
Yeah, the latter probably. Yeah, obviously before I was in with a group of 4 directors, so I did have that sort of safety net. So going into MBH, I was the only director that stayed behind, and basically you've just, especially Paul, you've just been a rock. You've been an absolute rock. I can phone anybody at any time, even Callum in Singapore. Sometimes it's lonely when you're on your own as an MD. We've collaborated and we've got many synergies with KS Training, Acacia, A1, and yeah, everybody has just been so welcoming and so supportive. Even through a pandemic, I've felt well supported.
Yeah, and everyone on the screen here, we've all worked together in some capacity on different projects. So what's been really good for you in Logistica through working together with the people in the group? What kind of things have you done, for example?
Well, I think the first synergy that came up, the first opportunity was our contracts, once we've delivered a bespoke course to the employer and the learner, we always had an opportunity to progress the learner onto another course, that being an apprenticeship. But Logistica don't deliver apprenticeships, so it's been really good that Acacia, KS and A1 do. So we've been able to pass our learners on, which, in turn it's helped you with your numbers and learners and contracts growing, and it's helped us meet our contractual targets, and hence we've won new contracts on the back of that. So we've given the full package. And then I remember Paul suggesting going on a management course with other MDs within the company. And at first I thought, I'm too busy, we're always too busy. But I'm so glad I did that, because it opened my eyes that it doesn't matter what company you're running, whether it be in construction or training, it doesn't matter. We've all got the same problems. We've all got the same departments, a marketing department, we've got a sales department, and it's really interesting to see, oh gosh, they do it that way, so oh yeah, I could do it like that, or if I tweak that. So it's really been good getting ideas. It's just been really good experience.
Yeah, and I can say from our perspective, from a learner who's our customer, having that journey of a very smooth transition from one stage to the next stage in their career development, and all of that adding value to your contracts, to Acacia's contracts and KS's contracts. It's a really lovely collaborative thing, and it really works well. So I think we'll definitely continue that. Have you got plans to expand into other funding streams? Are you looking at other types of contracts? Learn stuff from anybody else in the group on that?
Yeah, I mean, already we've expanded into different occupational sectors, because predominantly we only ever delivered in health and social care. Now we deliver in hospitality and childcare. So we've expanded how, the sectors, and now we're just bidding for anything and not anything and anything, but anything that's suitable to our delivery model. That's what we're looking for. And I know yourself and Paul have helped me get on the right track with that, because it's my first time bidding. That's always had a new thing for me, and yeah, we're looking to grow. A principal said earlier that we had to sort of reconnect, think about what we were doing, adapt, and then move on, and that's made them stronger. I feel so strong now. We could take on the world, so I do want to win new contracts and grow next year, definitely.
I absolutely love that. We can take on the world. What a great way to finish your part. That's brilliant. And Kieran, moving over to you. You were the first tactical acquisition actually that came in. You came in with us over at Acacia Training. So what's it been like for you? And when you look back on your journey, what are your thoughts now on that journey?
It's been fantastic, really. When you first come into the MBH group, and when the proposition's put to you and you start to explore it and understand that, you go through the process as a founder and as an owner, it's a big decision, and it can be quite you've got to trust, because it doesn't seem to be a very similar model anywhere else. So it's not like you can turn anywhere and say, okay, talk to other people who've got similar experience, especially when we first came in. So we just had to kind of take a leap of faith, and it was the best decision we ever made now, looking back, especially for us where we were. Something needed to change to enable us to step forwards into the sort of objectives that we had for ourselves and achieve them. And we needed that kind of support that working closely with you guys at Acacia and other people in the group brought to the table. So generally it was fantastic. But as you know, just at the point that we were coming into the group, we were hit by two key kind of milestone events that really were quite heavy. So we had our first ever direct Ofsted inspection, which is a massive milestone for any government-funded training provider. For investors watching and wondering what I'm talking about, Ofsted are the regulatory body for education in the UK. And you have to get a good grade with those guys. And then the other thing that happened was that we had our ESFA financial audit, our first financial audit. So we had those two key events. Then we were going through the audits with MBH to come into the group. So it was just a very intense, pressured sort of 3 months or so. So that brought us up to sort of Christmas 19. We'd come into the group in November and we thought, okay, just take a little breather for a few weeks over Christmas. And then, of course, everybody got hit by COVID. So it has been an incredibly strange journey from start to present day. However, being in the group allowed us to do some things in response to COVID that we probably wouldn't have done otherwise. So we were able to just close our offices and lean into Acacia's facilities. And you said, look, you can certainly register yourself from our offices, and we can you can use our space, and that saved us a ton of money. So that was one key benefit. And then really, I don't know how or why, but we had a fantastic 2020 relative to previous years, and I don't know whether that was the energy that of just coming into the group and just attacking the challenge in front of us presented by COVID. But 2020 was really good, and 2021 looks like it's going to be a repeat of 2020, at least financially. So stable revenue, good EBIT, and so for us the real key thing now is growth, and we think that there's massive opportunity within the apprenticeship market for us to really scale up, so that's where we will focus and where we will concentrate. Keep it simple, keep doing what we know that we're good at, and throw our energy and resources into that area. And really, in terms of collaboration, one of the key there's a couple of key things I would say there, but one of the key things that has been fantastic has been the access to really knowledgeable high-level managers within the different organizations that we can just talk to, get input from. That a couple of key staff members from Acacia have been very closely connected with KS, supporting us with growing and making sure our quality is where it needs to be. And then and that they're still involved on a daily basis with the business, and they're just fantastic people. They've really brought a level of professionalism and experience that was absent prior to us coming into the MBH group, and the difference that has made to our business has been enormous. And then the other thing that's really helped has been we can now attract a level of talent that we perhaps wouldn't have been able to have conversations with prior to coming into MBH. So we can now have conversations with, best in class managers and executives, and we can entice them. We can make an interesting proposition to them about coming into into KS training, and that is crucial to our growth plans. Okay, you can't play in the Premiership without Premiership players. You have to have the right caliber of individuals in your organisation to take you forward, and we can now have those conversations with those people, and not feel as if we're punching above our weight, and not feel as if we're almost embarrassed to have that conversation with them. We can have those conversations as equals, and they feel that, and they, you know, people are looking for a different world now off the back of COVID, and so now's the time to really build out that team. And then finally, the other key thing that we've done, which you know about and Diane referenced, was Diane's been working with us, Logistica, to support our sales efforts by passing on learners when they reach the end of their initial work with Logistica, rather than just letting them go out into the wild. We've been engaging with those learners and taking them forwards, and that's been fantastic as well, because that kind of activity, it kind of just fills the gaps in your forecast. Do you know what I mean? It's the difference between being just under and getting over the line. It's things like that, those kind of activities. You know, we're never going to base our business on what Diane brings to us or what we get from Acacia, but it's those bits of collaboration that make the difference between, you know, falling short and getting over the line. So.
And that's all really interesting. I mean, I know when you did come in and you got hit by those two things very quickly after coming in, but from memory, you know, we were all on hand to kind of pull together, because, you know, there's other providers like Acacia that have been through it that could say, these are things you need to think about, this is how you can prepare, these are the type of conversations you can have. And your point about talent, it's really important, because that's going to take you to that next level now, which I know is massively important to KS training and, you know, the next stage of the journey. So that's been absolutely brilliant to hear. And where do you want to take it next? Have you got a goal you'd like to really achieve? You know, something that's that itch you need to scratch that you really want to do?
Yeah, we'd like to get our revenue into the £2 to £3 million mark as soon as possible, and we'd like to get our EBIT up to 350, 400 a year, and that's really the overarching goal that we're driving towards, focused on apprenticeships. We don't really want to distract ourselves and sort of become distracted by other areas. There's more than enough money in apprenticeships. There's more than enough growth and opportunity. And you know, Vicky, that's really where the government want the money to be spent. You know, that's crucial to the country's recovery plans. And I think me, Diane, and you would also agree that our market in particular, it's just really buoyant, because this is what you want to be doing right now. If you're a business owner, you want to be in one of those sectors that are going to be key to that building back after what we've been through over the last year and a half, and government funded training is one of those areas.
Yeah, no, I agree. And you know, I'm a big advocate for apprenticeships. I think they give a great return on investment. I think they're a great opportunity for the young person or adult going into it, and for the business that takes them on. So I think it's exciting what's happening in that space now, as well as many other spaces.
And I'm not surprised you would say that, being the current apprenticeship training provider of the year, which I think should be mentioned in this call. That is a massive achievement. I mean, you know, of the 500 or 600, you know, colleges and independent training providers, the fact that within the MBH group, one of the companies is the best of all of them in current times, it really does speak to the quality of organisations that we have within the group.
Oh, thank you, Kieran, and thanks for mentioning that. I won't cry like I did on the event. I will keep my tears at bay on that. So, and finally, I want to bring Vicky in from Samuel Hobson. And just so investors know, me and Vicky have worked before. You will have to unmute yourself, Vic, when the time comes. But we've worked together before coming into MBH, and you recently looked at your statistics on the National Minimum Data Set, which are the statistics for the care industry in the UK. And you've seen some real benefits of collaborative working. So tell us more about that, and tell us more about how you've invested in the staff at MBH.
Yeah. So the national data set is something that Skills for Care have got. So recently we inputted our data into it, and it gave us our benchmarks. And it's a comparison group, basically. So we were compared to 82 other companies in the same local authority that provide the same service as we do. And we come out really good from this. So our staff turnover is 7%, and compared to the other 82 companies, theirs were 26%. And also the qualifications, and I think this is where this is where our retention is good. Our qualifications of staff is 92% compared to others of 55%. So I think in regards to our staff retention, and the reason why our benchmarks are really good is we invest in the staff, we invest in the training, and obviously, you know, we use Acacia training for their training. We always have. And I think we recognise that we want staff to be qualified to do the job they do, but also we want it for their own personal development and things like that. So, yeah, we invest in the training, we invest in the staff team as a whole, really. So we notice where there's room for someone to grow into a different role, into a more higher up role within the home, and we work with them to achieve that.
Yeah, and do you think that collaborative working is why your retention rate is better?
Yeah.
And because of that investment and that shared sort of knowledge, do you think it has?
Yeah. Well, obviously, you're training provider of the year, and we've always used you, so I think that speaks for itself, doesn't it? You know what I mean? I mean, the training the staff receive is really high quality, and I think that makes all the difference.
Yeah. Well, it takes employers and it takes apprentices and it takes a provider to get it right. So, you know, we do collaborative work, and you've been in 18 months now.
Yeah.
So what's your reflection, and where do you want to take the business next? What are you working on?
So we joined 18 months ago. We joined in January of 2020, and COVID then hit the UK, and it was particularly difficult. I'm not going to dampen it down or be what's it about it, but it was difficult in the health and social care sector. But working with MBH throughout the pandemic, I don't think we could have done it as a standalone company on our own. We had the support of other principals. We had support from people trying to get us PPE, trying to help us out with things like that. We had like a staff pool team from Acacia ready to support us if our staffing levels dropped. So it was a difficult 2020, difficult beginning to 2021. But what it's identified moving forward is we can't do anything more with Samuel Hobson. We can make it better in terms of the inside and the rating from CQC, but we can't add more bedrooms onto it. We can't have an extension because it just won't. We just can't do that. But what we've recognised is more people are living longer now. More people want to stay at home, and I think this may be due to COVID. That they're a bit sceptical about coming into care settings. So moving on to the end of 21 into 22, we are looking at setting up a home care business that is going to be linked to Samuel Hobson House, hopefully. Yeah, because we just recognise that there's a different, still within the care sector, but just moving in a different direction, that's all. Yeah, so it's a bit similar to what Robinsons are doing with how they've adapted to get that caravan business to get more caravans in. You're looking at a way to make your care services more accessible outside of what your current resource allows. And will you use some of the resource from the home, for example, to support that project? Yeah, definitely. I mean, Samuel Hobson is all I've ever known. So I'm really going to have to use what I've known in Samuel Hobson and adapt it into the new setting that we're going to. So yeah. Brilliant. And we're nearly wrapped up, but there is one question I just want to get in, and it's asking how the principals plan to deal with the government's bullying companies into discriminating between vaccinated and unvaccinated employees and customers, and how we're working through it. So I'll very, very quickly, Vicky and Care, how are you approaching this with the vaccinations? So it hasn't yet gone to Parliament yet in regards to care workers. It's not an approach or a blanket approach that I've put into the home yet. I do think maybe government will want vaccinations for all health and social care staff to protect the staff and the residents, the elderly that we look after. But I am pleased to say that currently we're 100% on our uptake of the vaccine through residents and staff. So yeah, it's something that I will have to look at, but we need more clearer guidance from government first. And what about you, Paul? What's your approach with the vaccines over at Robinsons?
Yeah, I guess from our perspective, you know, we take health and safety and the well-being of all of our staff, you know, seriously. I think the staff within Robinsons, generally, the uptake of the vaccine has been pretty good. I don't think we will, you know, force anything, but it will be down to, I guess, whatever the government guidelines are, whatever the government says we should do, we'll follow those guidelines.
Yeah, we've taken a very similar approach at Acacia, where at the end of the day, it's up to the individual as it stands at the moment, and we will support them and adapt as we need to accordingly for them and the business. So brilliant. That takes us to the end of our hour. How fast it goes, it's unbelievable. I'd really like to thank everybody, the whole panel, for joining us, and for everybody that's watching today. Our next live event is on the 21st of October, so hopefully you can look out for that and join us next time. And we hope to see you soon. Everyone stay safe, keep well, and we'll see you in a few months' time. Take care. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.